Hi everybody, Amy Shadow Dragon 1 here, and joining me today is Scott GSM times 2, who's been on the podcast before, and new to the podcast today is SB Dave. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Nice to be here.
So we're going to talk about NFC tags in geocaching, and I did sort of a shorter form solo episode on this earlier. Actually, this was brought up to me by Scott, which I appreciated, and we had a chance to do a little bit more of a deep dive with the two of you. So to start off, can you guys tell me what an NFC tag even is and how this technology works?
I,
So today we're going to talk more in depth about NFC tags. But first, Dave, could you tell us how you got your caching name and how you got started?
Okay, so SB Dave, that stands for Santa Barbara Dave. I grew up in Santa Barbara. I live in Camarillo, California. That's in Ventura County. So just as simple as that, Santa Barbara, and then my first name.
Well, that works, and it was available apparently
Well, with the underscore.
with the underscore.
I had to get creative.
So how did you get into geocaching?
A friend of mine I used to carpool with, he was in Boy Scouts, and they were doing geocaching in Boy Scouts, and he kind of taught me about it, and so he took me on to a couple of geocaches, and I got hooked from there, and got my first GPS receiver for Christmas, 2003. So I got my first cache on New Year's Eve.
Oh, fun. And you've been
That's when you
caching ever
needed a
since.
GPS device to get the cache. Yeah.
Okay. So what is this NCF tag in geocaching? How does this all work together? What are we talking about here?
Dave, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So it's NFC, near field communication. So it's just in your earlier video, you're talking about how two devices are communicating at a close range using radio. I got a cat getting in the way here. Uh, So you've seen that you've used this kind of technology before in credit cards or hotel keys, the credit card size hotel keys, or tap to pay on your phone. Yeah, that's using NFC technology. And the way it works is you have the tag, the NFC device. It's got some sort of information recorded on it. And it's just sitting there, and it's all passive. It's sitting there. It doesn't even have a battery. And if a reader comes along, an NFC reader comes along, it energizes that tag, and the tag wakes up and it broadcasts out over radio frequency that whatever its information is. And then the reader picks that up and displays it on whatever kind of display that reader has, and you go from there. The NFC function has happened.
So how has this gotten tied into geocaching?
Well, Dave kind of started it, but I'm going to kind of fit in here for a minute. So, what we're doing in Southern California is we're starting to utilize these as part of geocaching. Frequently, they're being used in multi-caches, where you can come up to an NFC, you scan it, and it will give you, in its simplest form, just the coordinates for where the final is. In its more complicated form, you can use it to link to YouTube videos. I'm using it to link to Jiggedy puzzles. So you scan it, the Jiggedy puzzle comes up. You curse at me for making you do a Jiggedy on your phone, but it's fairly easy. And then when you're done, either the Jiggedy contains the coordinates or the message contains the coordinates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
instead of having, so like for a multi-cache, instead of having another stage that had a piece of paper that's going to get all soggy and nasty potentially, the RFC code acts as that waypoint in between and acts as that piece of paper we're normally used to finding.
yeah, and Amy, I'm going to make sure you're using NFC, near field
NFC, what
communication.
did I say?
Okay, Oh, you've said a
I'm
couple
sure I
things. So.
have. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea why, but I am terrible with acronyms. And I have it right here in front of me. I have the three letters and I still get them swapped. So bear with me. And thank you for your
That's
tolerance.
okay. We got your six. Dave, you got anything to add?
Well, you gave an example of they're in multis, and so a couple things to point out is that it's a physical item, so it's not a virtual stop, so it's a physical, and I believe if it's a multi, the tag has to be at the coordinates. I don't think there's any way around that. And then you kind of skipped over a little bit, so the information on there, it could be plain text, it could be a link to a website, it could be a link to a document that's also plain text, or it could be like a PowerPoint slide or a video or a website. So all sorts of possibilities when that information could be a URL, a web link. So that opens things up a
So
lot.
there's a lot of
And
versatility
then
with the data that can actually be used with this.
you absolutely do. And another way that I've been using them um, is I have NFC distribution centers. So it'll be like an ammo box with a whole bunch of NFC tags and some instructions and so forth. And it has a padlock on it. So when you get to the traditional cache, you have to scan it, and that's going to give you the combination of the padlock.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's not just for multis. It can be for a traditional. Starting to use them. I have a friend who I'm working with, and she's using them for reverse where I goes. So you go to the tag, you scan it, it gives you the three 6-digit numbers that you do need to put into the reverse where I go. So and we've also set them out as a letterbox because all it takes to be a letterbox is to have a stamp in it. So it could be a traditional, it could be a multi, it could be well, actually, it can't be a where I go, but put a stamp in it, and you have another different type of geocache using an NFC tag. The one thing we can't use them for yet is for adventure labs because you're not allowed to put a physical container or a physical object connected to an adventure lab. But interestingly, GCHQ is starting to work with an NFC technology that they're plan on using with Adventure Labs. So we'll see where that goes.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're calling those lodestones. So hopefully we don't have to buy lodestones. Hopefully we can just use our own NFC tags and get all the same functionality. But they haven't figured it all out yet. Haven't decided.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a lot of different ways this is being used in geocaching then from the sound of it.
It is, and they're recent in Southern California, but they have been used. I think Dave can give you some background on how they've been used in other countries and other parts of California.
Kind of the same way, but I was looking through. I've been searching like Amy has for any NFC cat, and there's some of them in Europe. They're 5, 6 years
Oh,
old, so they've maybe even longer. They've figured it out a long time
that's
ago.
interesting. Have
Yeah.
have you seen an increase of these?
We have because we're pushing them out. I got the NFC distribution center, so some people are getting them there. During Maker Madness, I hosted an event strictly on NFC tags, and then I also did a presentation at another Maker Madness, and it was a segment on NFC tags. So I've distributed, I don't know, 100 of
Oh,
them or so, and a few of them are out
nice.
there. Yeah. So you want to know how to use
Absolutely.
them? Okay. Let's. Dave, you want to You want to talk about
Well,
androids?
okay. Well, earlier I mentioned you have a reader, a device that does a reader. Well, it turns out that modern smartphones all have NFC readers in them. that puts out a little some sort of energy, then it energizes the NFC tag and it comes on back. So if you have an Android, there is a reader that's always there. So if you just go to the home screen and you go and you just it's weird. You just go right up to an NFC tag just without even turning any app on, and it'll usually work. Not always. Usually you just get it real close and bing, it'll show up on the screen whatever the information is on the tag. If that doesn't work, then you may have to download an app called NFC Tools. You get the free version that is an orange icon,
Okay.
and then it's a little different for iPhones. So go ahead, Scott.
Well, just do a quick demonstration. I have an Android here. I have a tag here. I come over to the tag, and oh, come on, is this going to be technology
There
day?
it goes.
And if you heard the little beep, it went ahead and it read it, and it just said it's an empty tag because there's
Nice.
no information on that tag. On an iPhone, and I don't have an iPhone with me, but on an iPhone, the NFC reader is right up here in the top. So sometimes you can come in straight in like that, and it'll go ahead and read. Sometimes you just come over the top, and then it'll go ahead and read.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people use a lot of iPhones, and they've been consistently inconsistent. What I can say is, if you have an iPhone, the first thing you want to do is see if you can read them without installing anything. If you can't do that, then you want to go ahead and install NFC Tools. And now I have NFC Tools installed. It's going to go ahead and it's going to read it. And it brought up a whole bunch of information about the tag. But what I want to see is at the very bottom, and again in this case, it's telling me that
Okay.
this is an empty tag. So, yeah, so that's it. That's for it for iPhones. Try it without. Many iPhones I've seen, or a few of the iPhones, it works fine. If not, go ahead and do NFC Tools. And then the other thing that we've recently learned is when it starts to read, give it a second to read it all. Don't just go, oh, beep, and stand away, because what I've been seeing is if it has information on it, it won't be
Okay.
showing all the
And
information.
this is universal, right? Like
Oops.
NFC tags. Yeah, I said it right. NFC tags. They all work the same way.
Yes,
Okay.
pretty much. It's at least the tags that we've been working with.
How do you add? Oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
Dave.
I forgot one point on the Androids. When you get the brand new Android phone, the NFC reader is not activated, is not enabled. So you have to go into your
Okay.
settings, and sometimes it'll say NFC touch to pay or something like that, and so you
Okay.
enable that.
Yeah,
And supposedly on iPhones that's already
Interesting.
enabled. So
yeah,
just little
That's
slight
good to know.
differences.
yeah. And it's in the connections
Okay.
menu that you activate it.
So how do you add data to the tags?
You get your NFC Tools running, and let me close that. Get your NFC Tools running. You're going to hit right, and I'm going to add a record. And in this case, I'm just going to add text, and I'm just going to say test or something like that. And I hit OK. Now it's all ready to go, and I come in here with my tool. Or actually, I think I have to hit right. When I hit right, it says approach an NFC tag, and it's now been written to that tag. And when I come back here, close everything. And this time
Okay.
it says test. So that's it. That's how simple it is to utilize one of these. Now, one of the things that you want to do after you've done that is that anybody who has NFC Tools can go ahead and write to it. So another thing you want to do is hit other, and you want to hit set the
Oh.
password. And setting the password, and I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to show you my password, but you set the password. Well, actually, I can do it without showing it the password.
He's
And now
pretty
when
stingy with his password.
I am,
I
and
tried
now
to peek
when
over his shoulder today, and he couldn't see.
and now when I approach it, it says password set. So so now it's protected, and I don't have to worry about somebody coming and erasing or changing or doing whatever they might want to
Okay.
do with that NFC tag.
So
Simple.
other than the technology part of this, which is obviously very different than your traditional geocaches, how is creating one of these types of geocaches different? Is there a different process? Is there different data you have to put on the cache page? What makes the publication process different?
Go ahead, Dave.
It's actually pretty simple. It's depending on the type. There's the traditional, which the only one that we know of that works pretty well is the I forgot what you called it already. A little the station, a little box with a bunch of tags for people. Typically, it's going to be a multi, so you have to just set the setting for multi, and the attributes. The wireless beacon attribute is becoming adopted as the NFC attribute. There's still the chirp that uses that, but I understand they're grandfathered out. And then some people, sort of a gray area, whether or not you set the attribute for a special tool required, because the reader is a special tool, but it's your phone. You already have it, so that's why some people think, yeah, you don't need that attribute, but some people do. So, and then you just go from there. And like I said before, if it's a multi, the tag has to be at the coordinates, and then you can go from there. If it's a reverse where I go, similar, you just set that reverse where I go, and you in your description you say, hey, there's going to be a tag there, and you tell the cacher what to do with the information. What other types, Scott?
Well, and the one thing that you can do is you can do this right in the field almost all the time. So, today I was with Dave and we were out geocaching. I was refreshing the game board with a new cache, and was making it a multi with an NFC tag, and right there we were able to do that. And so again, it's fairly easy. I was just able to get the coordinates, get the coordinates to the final, get the coordinates to this, go ahead and do this, and just programmed it right there. So, and then when I get home, I will go ahead and set up the cache page. And like Dave said, no real difference. The one thing that I will correct Dave or add to Dave, and you know this, Amy, because you read on your little one that you actually have to do the wireless beacon. That is a requirement
Yes.
in the guidelines. So, yeah.
Yes.
So thank
So
you for that.
my understanding is the best way to find these if you're trying to intentionally seek one of these out is to search by that wireless beacon attribute.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
And if you're in Southern California, I have a bookmark list that I think is complete. And if I put the word out, hey, if you know of an NFC tag that's not on this bookmark list, then let me know. And it's just NFC, capital N, capital F, capital C, S, and by SB Dave. So if you go to if you happen to find a web page for an NFC cache, look on the book lists, and then if hopefully if that particular one is on my bookmark list, and then you'll have a
Okay.
whole mess up.
Yeah. And personally, I'm just making sure that I put NFC in the
Oh,
title.
that's a good one.
Yep. So, yeah,
Maybe
try.
that'll eventually become a
Yeah.
requirement, just like
I was just
challenge
thinking
has to have
that
the
that
word
would
challenge.
actually be a good
We'll
requirement to
find
have
out.
that in there. So we mentioned a little bit about the chirp, the legacy chirp beacons. Do you see this as sort of the new replacement for those former chirp beacons?
I'll say yes, and it's a much cheaper way to do it. These things are, depending on how many you get, 25 to 85 cents each. Uh, you know, um, and yeah, and they don't. One of the differences, one of our questions is how are they different, and this is how they're different. With a chirp or a Wi-Fi or um, or a radio beacon, those are powered and they are sending out a signal all the time. These have no power. They are waiting, as Dave said, they're waiting for a reader to come to give them power so they can spit out their information. So there's no batteries. And you don't have to worry about it. And some of the research I have done is claiming that
Oh
these can
wow.
be out in the field for 10 years and still work. Now, we don't have 10 years of experience, but they have been out in Europe for a number of years, and if they're still working out there, that's probably the main difference is and they're pretty small, and like I said, a chirp is, I think the chirps were about $20 each, and these are
Wow, that is a
25 to
huge
85 cents each.
cost difference and maintenance difference, not having to go maintain batteries
Hmm.
and check up on stuff. That really opens up a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the different kinds and what you're looking for. And I'm going to let Dave
Yes, yes.
try
What?
and
How
explain
are these things all
anti-metal.
different? What do I need to look for if I want to buy one, and where do I find the dang things?
Right. Well, I'll get started on those. There's two basic kinds, and I found out the hard way that if you put a regular NFC tag on metal, it doesn't work. So I was hiding my first one. Whoa, here's a nice little utility box. Oh, that'll be perfect right there. Slapped it on there. Okay, let me read it now. Nothing. So then went back home, looked it up. Oh, there's this thing called anti-metal, which is not a very good name for it. It doesn't work. The regular ones don't work on metal. There's some, I don't know how they do it. Somehow they make them differently so that they will work on metal,
Okay,
but they
that
call
is a
that
little
anti-metal.
confusing, to be honest with you.
So we're stuck with that, I think. Yes. So as long as we're up front that it's confusing, and yeah, and you can't tell by looking at it. Well, there's some subtle differences, but you typically can't tell by looking at it whether or not it's metal or anti-metal. And Scott's the expert on where to shop for
But we did learn something interesting about how to tell the difference between metal and anti-metal.
them.
The anti-metal are magnetic, are ferrous, and and you can use a magnet, and a magnet will
Oh.
pick them up, and they won't do that. We were at an event, and somebody asked a question, and suddenly we found out something we didn't know. And apparently, the way the manufacturing difference is they put a ferrous layer on the anti-metals, and that's why they're they're ferrous. Like many people say they're
Okay.
magnetic, but they're not magnetic. They're ferrous. So, anyways, as far as about purchasing them, and I sent you a link, and I don't want to say Amazon's the only place to get them, but Amazon is a pretty interesting place to get them. So, the links go to Amazon, um, and I have found two kinds that I like, and they there doesn't seem to be. I have purchased a lot of them, and I have thrown a lot in the trash when I find something better. so, so the ones that don't work on metal, I'm finding them in this. They're the size of a path tag actually, and the key that I have found, the key difference is 3M adhesive. The 3M adhesive really works well. The ones that didn't have 3M adhesive, after a couple of weeks, they just were peeling off or they fell off. So, the links that I sent you, they have 3M adhesives. These ones that don't work on metal, they're pretty stiff, and 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 they stick really well. The 3M ones that do work on metal, the anti-metal ones, they're more flexible. They're thinner. They come on a
Huh.
they come on a strip like this. So that I don't know. They're just a little bit different. But one of the nice things about them is because they're flexible, they can, if you have a pole that you're going to put them on, they stick nicely on the pole, where these would not. These would eventually pull themselves off the pole. So that's kind of the difference. When you go to look at them, you're going to see N tag 313s, N tags 315s, and N tags 213s, N tags 215s, and N tags 216s. And the basic difference is how much
Okay.
data they can hold. The the 213s can hold 137 characters. The N tag 215s can hold 496 characters, and the N tags 216s can
Okay.
hold 852 characters.
So the one you need is just
So,
dependent on what you want to
yeah.
put on it, basically.
So I tend to just fed on what you want to put, and I just use the 215s, and I've only once had trouble
Okay.
with not enough characters. So that's the bulk of about it. And again, for me, if it doesn't have 3M adhesive, I'm not going to buy it.
So another thing about when you're buying them,
Okay.
typically I've only ever seen them either white or black. But I've taken the white ones and I've
Oh.
spray painted them all different colors, and I haven't done it yet. But there's one that's kind of getting a little raggy, so I'm planning on going along and just spray painting right over the top of the tag as it's sitting there on a metal pipe. Another idea is if it's starting to show some age, put some electrical tape
Okay.
right over it instead of painting it. So, and the electrical tape won't interfere
There seem to be
with
a
the
lot of
information.
pros to these. You can
Yeah.
paint them. They're cost effective. They sound fairly versatile as to where you can locate them. Sounds like low maintenance. Are there any cons that I'm missing to these? Because they sound pretty good so far.
I th- the only cons that I've had, oh, well, a couple things to be aware of. The cons I've had is with the adhesive. The other thing is when you're setting them, be aware that people have to scan them, and they have to scan them either with an Android or they have to scan them with a iPhone. So keep that in mind. We've seen a couple that have been pushed up in the corner, and we can't get our Android over to it, or and so forth. And the same thing with an iPhone, there may be some restriction with that. So that would be the one thing that I would
Okay.
be very cautious about for people who are setting them. Um, and
And
then,
another con is that sometimes people just can't read them. They're not really used to doing the reading, and
Okay.
the first few times they try it, it's not working. Uh, I don't know of any time where it's actually been the tag's fault, except for not being placed well. But I have not heard of a tag stopping working.
right, yeah, we've been out with a number of people, and some people don't seem to be able to get them to scan, but someone
Okay.
or several people in the group can
On
get them
the
to scan.
anti-metal ones that are
So
flexible and conform to a pole, have you noticed when it's on a curved surface any difference in the ability to scan them?
I have not, and I've practiced them on a couple different things, and they seem to scan fine.
Okay.
You know, so at
So,
least for
have you,
me.
would you say that you've had fairly positive experiences with this type of geocache?
Yeah, I do. When you look at our pages, we always include instructions. Mine include a link to a document that I can update as I learn new things, and so we always include instructions, and and some people do get a little frustrated, but as far as I know, well, nobody who can't scan them has not found them. I don't know. That's so yeah. So they seem to be
Are you getting a
getting
lot of feedback and
fairly well
logs and
accepted.
comments about the
Yeah, and
tags?
people are, yeah, a lot of that feedback is people are excited that, hey, this is something new. Thanks for showing us how to do this. And yeah, they're excited that it's something new and different. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so are we.
yeah. And the people who have taken the tags, some of them are setting them, and they don't seem to be having problems with them as long as people can scan them. And again, as people get more used to it, I guess it would be the equivalent of lamppost caches. The first lamppost cache
yes.
that you went to look for, you
Yes.
had a lot of difficulty with. After you've done a few of them,
That
you
makes
don't have as
sense.
much difficulty with
That
them.
makes sense. Is there anything else about
Yeah.
these NFC tags that we should know
Uh,
about?
I Well, let's see. I will say this: if somebody wants to message, if you don't want to go out and buy 20 or 30 or 40 of them, um, you can message GSM X2, GSM times two, on the message board. Send me your address, and I'll send you a
Oh,
couple.
that's a good point.
Because I would
I'm
love to
guessing you're
distribute these
probably not just
all over.
buying one or two at a time. It's probably a bulk.
They're about 20, yeah. They're about the minimum of 20 of them, and then yeah, you can buy
Okay.
hundreds of them or 100 of them. So I can. They're actually, it's a little odd, but they cost more to put in a envelope
That's
than they do to
wild.
purchase. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. But I'm again GSM X2, GSM times two. Send me your address, and I'll be happy. Send me your USA address, or maybe a
That's fair.
Canadian
That's
address. I'll
fair.
be happy to send them to you. Yep.
Yes,
But
I
we
am
do
so
have
excited about
two
this.
cache
It's been a
highlights if you're
while
interested in
since I've
them.
had somebody on the podcast to highlight a cache for me, and we've got two here. So who would like to go first?
I'll start with mine, and then I'll let Dave do his multi-tech because that was very interesting. So
So
mine is
this is new to
called.
me. So
Okay, so
I've
yeah,
never heard of a cache highlight. So I'm learning now. So I'm gonna
okay,
get
you,
that cache ready for me.
that's perfect. So mine is it's GCBGNN2. That's Golf Charlie Bravo Golf November 2, and it's called Snow White Multiple NFC Choices. And
Okay,
Amy,
I won't
don't
read the
read the
page.
instruction. Don't read the page because it's long. Because
Yes.
so we all know about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and here's the premise. The premise is that the prince kisses Snow White. She comes back, and and they immediately fall in love. And on the way to the kingdom, they stop at the drugstore to pick up some supplies. And as they're there, she looks at all the tabloids, and all the tabloids are kingdom this, queendom that, that. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I've been there. I've done that. Remember, she was a princess because the person who poisoned her was her evil stepmother. And she's like, I don't want to go back to that. So she goes back to the forest with the seven dwarfs. And over time, one of them develops a beyond friend relationship and eventually a lifelong relationship. So here's the geocache. You go to the first stage, and there's seven coordinates, and there's the names of the seven dwarfs. And when you scan the NFC tag, everyone has an NFC tag. So you go to the coordinates, you scan the NFC tag, and ChatGPT helped me with this. It will tell you why this dwarf is not a good match for her. And when you find the dwarf that is a good match for her,
Oh.
it'll give you the coordinates to the final. So, so it's kind of fun. Gotten a lot of good compliments about it. This is a different use of these, and hadn't been found a ton of times, but it has 62% favorite points, and so that's it. That's the
I like that. That's
that's
fun.
my
A
cache
little
highlight.
different. I thought you were going to tell us it was pick your
Definitely
coordinate and
different.
hope you found it the right one, kind of a wild goose chase. But I think I like this a little better, a little less evil, a little more fun.
A little more fun, and the write-ups are interesting on why she would pick one and the other ones really weren't a good match. And I mean, I'll give one away. Sneezy is not a good match. Sneezy, because it's not a kid who
Yeah.
sneezes now and then. It's what he does all the time, and if you can kind of imagine in intimate
Yeah.
situations with Sneezy, it just might not be that good. So,
Oh, that's
anyways, there we
fun.
go. It's not Sneezy. All right. And Dave's was one of the first ones that I did, and also very clever, very well done. Dave, tell them about Multitech.
Okay, multi-tech. The GC number is GC Alpha Zulu Mike 7. What's N?
November.
November. I'm a little rusty on my. Uh, yeah. So at the coordinates is a NFC tag. So you scan that, and it tells you where to go next. And that next one is a place where if you're standing there, you can read a Wi-Fi code. So one of those Wi-Fi names has a clue in it. You put that clue into Certitude, and then Certitude what tells you where to go next to go to another NFC tag, and then that NFC tag tells you where the final is. So, so it's a series of you can keep stringing the multis together. I figured any more would start to get too old. But that got a bunch of different technologies in there, and had some fun with it. And then on top of that, when you find the final, there's a QR code on the
Oh,
inside of the lid that tells you where to start to do a bonus cache,
of course.
which has a couple NFC tags in it, of course. And now that one's called More Fun, but if you'll see
I
that if you
like
just go to
that.
this
I
the
like
one
that
that
you
I just
tied a
gave you,
bonus cache in
it
there.
tells
I
you
like
about the
that you've
bonus
got
cache.
the different technologies tied in there with it. That's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Nice.
And it's all very close. You can do
I
it on a
like
bike.
it. Was that the first NFC cache you did?
The first NFC cache I did is GC Bravo. Is that a zero or an O? It must be a zero. Victor Papa Golf. GC Bravo Zero Victor Papa Golf. And that one's called Tour of Tiki Number
Oh,
One.
cool.
And as far as I know, it's the first NFC cache in California. Yeah. And so that one is a two-part multi. You go to, you scan it's just, you
Okay.
scan the NFC tag and it tells you the coordinates for the final.
So
Oh, actually, it's a link to a
Ah, I
PowerPoint
like it.
slide that has
Oh,
a nice little
hello,
picture of the
doggos.
coordinates on
Thought that. Well, this has been
it.
really interesting. I'm so glad, Scott, you reached out and said we could do a deep dive into this sometime, and invited Dave to come along. I've learned a lot about this. I love that there's something new like this in geocaching that is expanding. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about this kind of thing. What do you see as the future of NFC tags and geocaching?
I think that there's going to be very creative geocachers coming up with ideas that are beyond what I can think of. We have one local geocacher who kind of follows the guideline of hide what you like to find. He he loves to find difficult, loves to solve difficult puzzles, and so he creates difficult puzzles. And he said at a recent meet and greet, when I get some of these NFC tags, you guys better watch out. So I don't know what he plans to do,
That's great. I think
but
that's
it's going
one
to
thing that
be
we got to see with
very
Adventure
creative.
Labs was how it has sort of evolved and become different over time with the creativity and what people have been able to imagine with them. Well, I look forward to seeing what people can
Yep,
imagine and come up with for
absolutely,
these.
absolutely. With the understanding that these are physical objects, so they have to be 528 feet away from each other. So you're not going to sit in a parking lot. Um, oh, yeah, Dave is waving because they don't
So,
have. Go
right,
ahead.
if it's a multi, even if they're physicals, they can be less than 528 feet away from each other. But they do need to be, just like any other multi, more than 528 feet
Okay,
from any other physical
I think
stage of any
so.
other cache.
It sounded right to me.
Did I say that right?
You said it exactly right. So
Okay.
I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I guess they could put 300 of them in a parking lot and create a 300 stage multi. It's not going to be the same as a
No, that's
300
not going to be quite the same. And
geo art,
It, that would not be fun. I wouldn't want
no,
we'll
to do that.
see. Definitely, time will tell.
but we'll see where they go.
Before we wrap it up, is there anything else either one of you
Yep.
can think of that you'd like to add?
Nope. I think let's see. I think we went kind of through it all. No,
Oh, please
looks good.
share.
I have a miscellaneous fact to it that you can edit out if you think it's too boring. And I'm not sure if I've said it already. Um, so we just had our cats chipped. The chips in
Oh,
pets are similar to NFC tags. They're not exactly the same. They work the same way, but they're on a lower frequency so that the signal can go through skin and fat and all that. It increases the range a little bit. So same exact technology, but you have to have a special reader. You can't use your
you
phone.
know, I
I
had my
tried.
dog's chip, but I never thought to try to see if I could scan them with my phone. To be honest with you, that's good to know. Yeah, I didn't even make that connection. I was thinking about, the smartphones and the tap to pay and everything when I read about it. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a technology that a lot of people are familiar with, and it's the same type of deal. I like it. I like random facts.
So good. Well, Amy, thank you very much for having us. It was always a blast to chat with you. Good to see you again. And
Okay.
oh, I have one other question. Well, I can ask it after the show. Have you done
I
any Route
have
66 adventure labs yet?
I did part in an adventure lab because it is down by where my so we have to go to a special vet for our goat. Obviously, most vets don't do that. So that's a little bit of a drive south for me, about 45 minutes or so. And there is a Route 66 Adventure Lab not too far from there. And she had to have a cyst removed. So while she was doing that, I went and I got a couple of the Adventure Lab points, but I have not completed it yet. So next checkup, hopefully we'll be able to pick up another one. Well, thank you both
Sounds
so
good.
much for joining me and talking to me about this topic. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do it.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right. Thanks for having us.
Okay. Let's
Absolutely.
see if
Take
it's
care.
going